Game begin.
For the time being,
Okay.
Ika, my friend, I know you.
Yes, me.
I have enjoyed talking
You
to
know me,
you.
yes.
But introduce yourself
So I've
to
heard.
the 1 or 2 people that may actually listen to this thing.
Hello, Internet. I'm on TV. No, hi, my name's Ika, or Ikabubu. I've been playing No Man's Sky for probably way too long. Actually, that's a little bit more complicated. It's on and off. That I've been playing this, and I've just watched you overshoot the landing bay. Hey, there's another one behind me.
Yep.
Feel free to park there. But yes, I've been playing No Man's Sky since funny enough, since launch. Since launch.
You're gonna have
and
to
on and off.
hang on. You know how we talked about the difficulty
were you-
with no, you're good. You're good. We're still recording. You know how
Good.
we talked about the difficulty of me having to jump in between games?
Yes,
me what
the
land
one that
is.
my brother's amazed.
Remind me
Hold
what
on.
land is.
I remember I'm using control. Let me.
Go ahead and
I'm
tell
gonna
me the
go back to our
controller.
chat. It's normally if you have an Xbox, it's X. If you have a PS4, it's square. But I gave you I linked you
There we go. We're landing.
something
We're good.
before.
We're good.
I landed.
We're good.
We're good.
Didn't mean to interrupt. Minor technical difficulty. Jumping in between
Minor
games,
technical.
doing interviews.
I'm gonna leave that in.
Oh yeah. Oh, this all
it
stays
is
in.
in.
This is in-game interview uncut.
That's all stays in.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
Okay.
you. You have been playing this game for way too long, you say.
For way too long. The other 2016, I was there in launch time, and then I've been spotty on its record. Like I did not play it continuously. I definitely took a break after 2017, and then came back around 2020, and I've been on and off on it since then. I think I don't know how accurate, because they only started doing it for the PS5. They did not count hours on the PS4. So I believe my PS4 version is like over like 1,500 hours, and then my current PS5 is sitting at around 700. This game has found a place in my life. Basically, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's the most amazing game. It's my favorite game ever, but it has a place. It's a very special place. It has a unique place in it, where I spend time basically with it in between other games, and that's basically where it resides. Yeah, so I've been playing it on and off as sort of an in-between thing.
So it's the vacation.
And yeah, right now,
It's like a comfort vacation. It's something you can fall back
Right.
on. You know what you're getting.
exactly. That is basically it. And the reason why I brought you here is because this is one of the featured creations of a creator known as Teabags. And as you can probably tell, this is a racetrack.
Yes.
And he has feel free, and he has also these big. Because this actually is one of the pleasures of this game itself. It is watching other people just express themselves. And he's, as far as I can tell, he's the best one at this currently so far. And he has a long track record of making a lot of elaborate bases, and he posts most of it on Reddit itself. In mad respect, because he does not obey the regular snapping system of that the game comes with when it comes to building. He actually does a lot of glitch building, and that itself is all an entire skill set on its own. But to me, this is actually one of the things I do like about the game, is I just want to see what other people have created. And I think I lost my interview. Where I am. Wherefore art thou? Oh, did you get on a vehicle? Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I'm here.
Yeah. You can probably tell you have a you you have access to the vehicle, but you probably have the vanilla version of it. So you're probably feeling the effects of the storm right about now.
Yeah, just a bit.
Just a bit. But yeah, But yes, did you want to start off with a question, just to keep me?
Yeah. So
keep me off.
What brought you to the game? What got you interested?
Of course, the fabled old origin story, the one we shall tell our grandchildren. But the real, I mean, if to be perfectly honest with you, what got me interested in the game is probably what got a lot of people into the game when it launched in 2016. Seeing it in the abstract itself, that it is this sort of infinite game where there's just an actual functionally infinite cosmos for you to explore that is impossible to be discovered in any of our lifetimes. That is an ambition that I just have to respect. Whether it actually succeeds or not, I think is beside the point. What the thing that's worth looking at it is, I want to encourage these projects, or at least want to be part of it, because I know it's going to be part of history. Maybe that's a little too ambitious to say it's going to be part of history, but maybe video game history. If we're going to write a book about video game history, you have to mention No Man's Sky.
Yeah,
at some point. That is undeniable. There's a few games like this that have happened in my lifetime, obviously, because part of it is to be perfectly frank, to me, I was watching this interview with. Funny enough, it's called War Stories. It was, I believe, it was Vice, or was it Wired? It was Wired magazine's interview with, I believe, Robin Miller. Who, I don't know if you're familiar with Robin Miller. Are you?
I'm not.
They were a brother duo, Rand and Robin Miller. They created a little game called Myst. I don't know if you've heard of Myst, which was back in the 1990s. That was one of the most influential games because it was the first puzzle adventure game in first person. And controversially, a lot of people looked at it as like, oh no, this is the death of hardcore gaming, because now gaming is going to be for casuals, and there's going to be moms and grandmas that are going to encroach on our territory, because Myst is very narrative, very puzzle focused. And now we live in a modern society where that's okay. And everybody has a space, everybody has a genre. But the reason why I brought this interview up is because, you know, one of my favorite lines that he says is that I am not young. And he basically was talking about how he was I believe in middle school. I forgot which decade it was. And he saw video games for the first time when a friend introduced him to him, and he said he thought it was actual magic.
Yeah.
And to me, I still want to keep part of that fire alive, and I think video games are one of the best forms for it, because it is such a complete experience in and of itself, that it could encapsulate you if you actually put enough thought or enough thought and craft into it. It could be a very magical vehicle for either for narrative or for experiences. No Man's Sky is very unique in that it's actually its ambition is different, because it's not necessarily narrative-wise, or it's not narrative, or it's not presentation-wise, but I'd argue presentation. But the ambition for it is this infinite thing that I don't think anybody has ever come before, or anybody has ever attempted before. And I have to respect that, because there's a few games that, like I said, that happen once in a while that you just have to stop and respect. And the other example I was going to say was that when the first Mass Effect trailer came out, I don't know if you remember the first Mass Effect trailer, it sold me on the idea, like, oh, all your choices matter.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, okay. Yes, I'm down. And ultimately, what we realized is that it was more limited than it actually seemed. It didn't matter, because what I'm talking about here isn't whether an idea succeeds or fails. What I'm actually talking about here is whether or not something captures me, from its initial conception, and that's one of them. Matter of fact, there's another game recently that did that. I don't know if you've ever heard of the game that just released recently called UFO 50. Have you heard of that one?
No. I've not.
Okay. So are you familiar with Derek Yu? He created a little game called Spelunky, and Spelunky 2.
The name rings.
That's
a
okay
bell.
if you don't.
Go ahead.
That doesn't necessarily matter what he did or what matters. You just need to listen to you just need to hear the abstract, or basically elevator pitch of what he did.
Mm-hmm.
UFO 50, imagine there was an alternate timeline where instead of just having like the Nintendo 8-bit system, there was another console that we've never heard of that was just discovered.
Mm-hmm. And
it comes with 50 games. And I'm not talking, and most people would say like, oh, 50 minigames. No. He worked on this since 2016. And with a couple friends and collaborators, and these are full-fledged games by the standard of the time. So it is, to me, that is bananas. He released a compilation of 50 games to the full length of what things were at the time, and it's not that he was also making a bunch of retro games, but some of them are also some of them also feature a modern concepts in them. And a lot of purists would probably look at it and say, oh, these graphic techniques or even some of these gameplay might not have been possible with the hardware at the time. But to me, that's not the point. The point is that this is such a once in a lifetime project. Maybe not. Hopefully somebody would, but it's such an ambition I have to respect. There is one game in there about you're a spaceman in a UFO and you land on procedurally generated planets and you gather resources so you can travel to the next one, which should sound very familiar to you. At least in the concept itself.
Oddly familiar.
Based on oddly familiar. That is how crazy that is. So even if most of the games don't hit for you, they're not always out of all those 50, I think some of them, out of the 20 or something I played, 6 of them are ones that are really striking a chord with me.
Yeah. But
yes, that is an example of a game that I just have to admire what it's trying to do. And here we are with No Man's Sky. It is a game I very much admire what it does. Whether or not it actually fully succeeds, well, part of me always thinks that No Man's Sky, one way or another, is going to be a sort of a victim of perception.
Mm-hmm.
And people would say it's a victim of perception initially. I still think it's still a victim of perception today.
Yeah. How so?
Because
expand upon that.
Well, first of all, I'm going to keep talking, and if you want to take a crack at this race, feel free. I'm actually going to move us to the other venue I had in mind. Feel free to stay here if you'd like, and follow me in a little bit.
Yeah, I need to figure out how to get back up there.
Okay. All right. This is behind. This is inside baseball for a second here. I think I linked you Actually, I'll just relink it to you. There was a page of all the controls in one page. Controls, there it is.
Oh yeah, I'm below the base. I'm on the ground. I've been
below the base. You fell.
I fell. Yeah. There's more elegant ways to say it.
Okay,
like
so
I decided to explore the world below us. But yeah, in essence, yeah, I fell. Yeah, if you want to put it that way.
So the one thing. So right now, in order to save you from your situation, since this is one of the limitations of the game that I can't just pick you up with my ship. Where are you? Yeah, there you are. One of the things you can do is, as a matter of fact, we should probably do it now. We should probably switch all your costs to free. Do you know how to open your difficulty setting? Should be just in options, difficulty,
I'm
and you
assuming
scroll
that's
down.
within general.
Yes, I'm opening mine, looking at general. Oh no, not even general. It's in the once you open options, it's right
Difficulty.
there at the very bottom. Yeah. Scroll down and just say fuel usage. Sorry, crafting and item setting. The wrench and the screwdriver, and X. Fuel usage and crafting. Purchases you might as well just set to free as well while we're doing the interview, so it doesn't get in the way.
Okay.
What this will do is that this will let you summon your exocraft for free. Because normally you can make it land next to you, and that costs like 60% of fuel for one shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. So what is quick menu? Quick menu for you is. One second. What is mine? My quick menu is down. Your quick menu is. No, it's X for you.
Summon vehicles.
Summon vehicle.
There we go.
Just make it land next to you.
There we go. Easy enough.
Alright.
All right.
Right. I'm going to jump into the anomaly. I don't think you'll see me. I'm probably going to disappear. But no worries. I'm going to go jump into another place, which is another person space. And you can just do the same thing where you dock, and as you leave, it's going to ask you, hey, do you want to join where Ika is? This is yes. So what was the thing we were saying? What is the... Yes, all right. The thing you were saying is what is the... Why is No Man's Sky a victim of perception?
Perception, yes.
Because ultimately, like we remember the marketing of No Man's Sky in 2016, right? It was one hell of a pitch, and the problem was that I don't know who to lay the blame on, whether it was Murray, the game's director, or if it was Sony's choice, but somebody wasn't willing to fess up as to the limitations of the game. Now, if anybody who's played games for a little while will realize that it's a man-made playground. There's a limitation to everything because it's man-made. It doesn't actually stretch in forever, much as it'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only so much scope a team can actually put it into something. And I think part of the reason that it had such a skewed perception is that they were so coy about a lot of things. Whether or not think there's multiplayer on it, whether or not how much you can do. And because of this coyness, or you could blame it on marketing and a million other things, but people hoisted their expectations on No Man's Sky that it is the everything game. It can be anything, you can do anything. And I think that perception still persists now, because a lot of people look at it and say, oh, it's been updated incessantly, and there's still no sign that they're ever going to stop. And they're going to think, oh, maybe now it is the game that it was promised to be. I would still make the argument that it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things is that the game is a lot more simpler than you think. And as a matter of fact, one of the ways I would describe this game is basically a walking simulator with a lot of layers to it, and that's going to piss off a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's going to piss off a lot of people, and they're going to clutch their pearls. They're like, how dare you say it's a walking simulator? There's a lot of things you can do in No Man's Sky. And to that I would say yes, but anybody who has actually played the game for, especially for thousands of hours, will know the boundaries of the game design itself. Part of it is that you realize that the game has not actually changed. For the core base of it, the heart and soul of No Man's Sky since its release has not actually they haven't really touched it. Now let me take a step back and explain to you what I think No Man's Sky actually was originally. I'm looking for you. Were you able to get to where I am?
So I'm heading towards the space station. I checked the galaxy map. I couldn't find your location.
Oh, no. Not there. I was, go to the anomaly. Summon the anomaly again. Quick menu. Summon the bowling ball, and then it will, the moment you leave, it'll tell you, hey, do you want to join where Ika is? And that's where it'll automatically bring you to where I am. Or better yet, go to the anomaly.
I'm heading towards
did you... Hold on a second. Did we lose our group? Oh no, we didn't.
Wow.
No, I'm by myself in this group. Weird. Must have Another way you could do this is you could also just since I lost you in the group, you could just actually back out into the main menu and join friends again. Okay. It's a little bit inelegant, but it will also bring it to where I am.
Okay.
Let me take a drink here, and let me just to clear my throat, and then I'll continue my point.
I'm connecting to your current session. Appreciate your patience with all the questions. In terms of what's happening in game, I know this is something we've talked about, but I've been bouncing through more games than I have ever played before in my life, and it has been a blast, but it has definitely proven to be a bit challenging at times.
Yes, I'm playing several games right now, and even with experience, especially if they map too closely with their controls, it could still be a challenge to wrap yourself. Oh, okay, like this is the enter button. This one is the cancel button for this game. Even something as simple as that, you wrap your head around. You have to rewrap your head around that.
Let's see, where are you? Are you at the butterfly house?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Yeah. So as you're zooming in, I guess I'm just going to continue my point. Basically, like we were talking about how the game is a victim of expectations, especially how it was, and then I was going to explain to you what do I think original No Man's Sky was. I actually think No Man's Sky when it was launched was actually complete. I truly believe that it was because of the marketing and how ambiguous it was, and that the expectations people foisted upon it. That's what skewed it in such an unfavorable and untenable situation. Because everybody wanted to say that it was the everything game. Basically, people were expecting EVE Online levels of basically adventuring or role play in the game where the game wasn't. What the game actually was is that it was a single player crafting survival where you just have it, that it was that simple, that you were just trying to follow your North Star, or in this case, trying to get to the center of the galaxy, and that was it. Like it was a complete game that way. It just had infinite variability to the places and the spaces that you would explore, but ultimately at its heart, it is a simple game, a simple crafting game that had a linear goal. Instead of say, even eventually Minecraft established a goal, a quote-unquote goal, but ultimately Minecraft leans towards the more creative side. But that is I'm still saying that is still what No Man's Sky is. It's hard, and most people who come here, who actually play the game, eventually, if you play it enough, you realize that a lot of the updates, actually not really a lot of the updates, all of the updates, I would say, I'm gonna make a lot of enemies by saying this. A lot of the updates are superficial at best, inessential at worst, and always optional. And yet, I'm still here with a couple thousand hours. And I think, like I said, I have found a place for this in my life. Like I said, it is the in-between game where I like to relax in it. I don't ask for much of. I'm not asking for it to be much more than that. Once I realize what it actually was, that's actually part of the reason why I put the game down back in 2017, and I took a break. I think I visited the game again in 2018, and then didn't really pick it up again until 2020. And they put down the Foundations update. That was basically part of the first point of their record, watching you float around. Okay, there we go. Good job. Your license. I'm kidding, please. But I'm right here, and you'll see a little drawbridge. And I just want to take this opportunity to catch some ice fish. But I was about to say that this game actually hasn't changed much from what it actually was. And when they established a few things, like say the Foundations update, which was basically a bunch of building, that actually rubbed me the wrong way, because what I really liked about No Man's Sky was how nomadic it was, how the places were disposable. Not necessarily in a bad way, but the idea is like you will just go through scenery and explore, like, alien planets, like you're browsing through a catalog of science fiction covers, basically, or screenshots. And that's part of the reason why I liked it. I thought that the base building was completely antithetical to what I wanted, and that's part of the reason why I dropped it, because I thought, well, this is not going in a direction I liked. And eventually, like, I basically came back to it because in 2020, because a lot of people were coming back to it as well because of all the continued updates. And I'm not here to neg or to discredit what do you call this? The Hello Games' efforts, definitely, to keep pouring love and keep adding features to it. But I found my way to enjoy the game, but it's everything they've added still doesn't touch the core heart of it. They've had a few things they've changed a few things as well that actually did change the actual meta, how the actual core gameplay loop happens, or I shouldn't say core, the quote-unquote essential core gameplay loop happens. But everything they've done so far has been optional. One of the best examples I can tell you is when they introduced piracy. Normally, if you were playing something like Skyrim, if you were playing something like Elite Dangerous, when you say the word piracy, or it tells you it has a reputation system, I mean, what comes into your mind? Like, just give me some loose ideas of what that gameplay might actually look like.
Frustration, a lot of banging my head against the wall, about a lot of like trolling, and a complete shift in the dynamic of the gameplay. That's just what comes to mind.
Yeah. All right, excellent. I can work with that. Let me. What I normally would think is that when something like, say, like a Bethesda game says that we have piracy, part of the expectation comes with it is the idea that, okay, I have a reputation, I have faction standing. Most people expect that the world will interact with me differently based on my reputation and based on some of the actions I do. I mean, I think that's a reasonable enough expectation for a game that says it has a piracy system and a reputation system. Ultimately, what eventually happens when you do piracy No Man's Sky is that nothing really changes. The three major races, or most of the NPCs, will still treat you mostly the same way, like almost 99% the same way. They just won't give you discounts for the most part, and that's really it. All of the quests, all of the NPCs still treat you the same way. And they actually did is they added a lot of optional stuff, saying, "Hey, you can attack ships now. They will try to defend themselves, but it will also prove lucrative." And then there's also unique star systems that have pirate bases that or pirate stations where you could buy and sell contraband. And that's it. It's very surface level to what you would think a reputation system would be in many other games, especially like in an MMO or, like I said, in an open world game like a Bethesda game. It that's a good example of what I mean by the systems don't go deep enough. They're superficial. They're surface level like that. And so part of it, like, even when they did the orbital updates, like they refreshed the space stations, they give you this fishing. Like I'm holding a fishing rod right now, and the idea is that they don't really add a lot of quests necessarily, or anything that affects you. That fishing majorly affects you. This is basically just another source of income in a game where it's already so much easier to make money, or nanites by itself. There's no real benefit. It doesn't unlock any unique quests or anything like that, or doesn't add to the story. I think I should say that it doesn't add a new different kind of like deeper quest line or story, or like revelations to the lore or anything like that. It is just fishing. It doesn't go superficial to that. That's the same for the piracy. That's the same for the derelicts. That's the same the derelict ships that they added. That's the same for the living ships that they added. Although arguably each of those sort of like additions brings a quest that is self-contained, has a little bit of lore that implies the greater universe, but it can be completely ignored, and you could still basically see the entirety of No Man's Sky's plot in it. So it's sort of in this weird, awkward space where you're not there. There's not if the payoff for the addition is the addition itself. It doesn't integrate. It's not integral to a lot of the core experience. So it never stops feeling like it is this compartmentalized and discrete thing. And yeah, like I said, the big fan irony of this is that, but Ika, you still spend thousands of hours in this game. Yeah, that's still it. And I think for the most part, you're actually looking at it. You're actually looking at me doing what it is I love about this game. As a matter of fact, you're not seeing what I love about this game. The number one thing I actually love doing in this game is photography.
Yeah.
That is actually the honest to goodness truth. I have a flash drive just jam packed. Well, actually, since I'm an original PlayStation player, my console is full of like hundreds of these pictures. But photography costs nothing. It actually it doesn't actually do. It actually doesn't. It doesn't. It's like it's almost the most cost-free thing that it will ever ask of you, because you could just start it anytime. You just pull your quick menu and you could put up photo mode. You could even manipulate the sun and the lighting and the daytime and the clouds, and at no cost at all. As a matter of fact, let me put a bookmark on that point, where the thing I actually like doing, and I think it's about time I brought you to where my home is. So
Let's do it.
Here.
So real quick, if I could ask you a quick question.
Feel free to interject.
So, is it fair to say that your opinion of this game is, excuse me, sorry, very, very tall order, very, very impressive execution of the tall order, but because of the game being such a tall order, everything else since then just seems almost like futile. Like you were saying with the fishing, cool, there's a fishing rod, new way to make money, but there's no quests and things included within that really like incentivize the player to like continue to push further and do something different. Is that kind of where your head's at?
It's more like it never feels integral because it never changes the game dramatically, or it never touches the core of the experience. It is always, like I said, it's always optional. So that is the one thing. It's always self-contained. Let me. It's a tall order. It is an impressive execution at the time, and I think it's showing its age now, and they're definitely put on a few fresh coats of paint. I think it's a tall order, and I respect the ambition. And I think the problem with said tall order is that a lot of people also apply a lot of expectations in the game itself. They put basically, like I said before, they put in EVE Online levels of roleplay that they expect of the game, or the idea is like people are looking for that quote unquote everything game, the game that will do everything for them, will simulate everything for them. I don't necessarily think that's the case either. One second. Let me actually hold on a sec. Are you in the? Oh, that's what's happening.
I'm in the anomaly.
Okay, so just stay in the anomaly for a second.
Cool.
Don't.
Yes, so you bring up an interesting point. Like, I've had a few of these conversations, for this YouTube channel, for these videos, but also just over the years. I'm sure same with you. What game would you make? Talk. What you think of this game, etc., etc. And and something that I've found amongst a lot of people is exactly what you said. We all want the game that has everything that we want in it. And
right.
I think that not only sets gamers up for disappointment, but I think it sets developers up for failure. Because I love Blackberry Cobbler, but Ika only likes strawberry cake. And one man's trash is another man's treasure. And I think when it comes to gaming, it's this super interesting kind of challenge that developers and gamers all have simultaneously, which is how do you appeal to the masses in a way that will not only respect, because I'd like to think that the people who create games want to show respect towards the people who love those games, one way or another. And I think the content that they add into games and, maintaining servers and things like that is kind of a tip of the hat of saying like, hey, we do appreciate the people who continue to play this. But it is interesting that kind of all of us fall victim of this mentality of, well, I don't like that. So like, here's an example. There's this great game, Icarus. Have you ever played it? Can you hear me? I think I may have lost Ika.
Nope, I'm right here.
Oh, okay. There you are.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Have you ever played Icarus?
Have I played what?
It's called Icarus. It's like it's essentially just a survival game. Planetary survival game.
Wait, that sounds very familiar.
Yeah,
hold on a second here.
Icarus. Anyway.
Yeah, as in the myth. Yes.
Yeah. So
Hold on, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah. I have not, but yes.
I love the game. It's a great game. I have played many hours of the game and enjoyed every single moment of it. But I hate, and 3 other gentlemen that I have interviewed about the game hate the fact that you can't dig trenches. So I can't reroute water from one source to another. And it's kind of funny, like, that we all find that thing. You know, within every game we play, it's like, yeah, I really like it, but, like, this is stupid, or I don't agree with this, or this, that, or the other. So, anyway, I didn't mean to derail you. I just found it interesting that you kind of said that this game has 100% been a victim of that. And I'd never really thought about it in that way before.
Yes, because it's easier at some point. Like when you play a Forza Horizon, it's a racing game. You don't expect certain things to it. You don't expect, you don't expect player trading, but it's there. You don't expect a lot of like a deep social interaction. There's some things that when a genre comes in, and then the genre preconceptions that basically shrink the amount of expectations that a game has. And I think that the problem with No Man's Sky is that despite nobody was clear at the very beginning, 2016. It was just a survival crafting game along the lines of, along with Terraria, with the Minecraft, but it was super simplified. But the flip side to that was that it was infinite. Does that make sense? Like that was the actual pitch of it. But nobody was willing to fess up or admit to what it was, and everybody mapped onto it. And good on Hello Games, which I believe is like at the time when they launched the game was only 20 people. I don't know how much they've grown, but I can't imagine like that team is humongous. It has to be tiny.
Yeah.
And all their efforts are. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have updated the game, but all their efforts are still. They can't rebuild the shelf. They can't rebuild the scope. And one of the things that I would like to explain to people, like at some point when you make a project, you have to scope it out. This is basically the bookshelf, and these are the bookshelf. This is the bookshelf. This is the size of the bookshelf I want to make. And the books are the ideas I want to put into it. It can't be infinite. And I can't just keep adding on to it. And even if I did want to add on to it, there's the question, well, how much of the original architecture do I want to keep adding to, or should I just make a new game? Right? At some point, you should just make a new game and just add. It becomes inelegant, I should say. That's what I'm actually trying to say. But scope, that's basically a long indirect way of talking about scoping in the game itself. Now, are you still in the anomaly?
Where should I unmute you at? Yep, I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. Are you still in the anomaly?
I am, yes.
Okay, go ahead and leave and just join and it'll warp you to wherever I am.
Okay. So let me ask you this. What are the things that you think No Man's Sky does right? What did they get right?
You cut off. You cut off a second there. What are the things that what?
What are the things that you think No Man's Sky did right?
That's a very interesting question. I think in that case, I would have to talk about what it's doing right for me. I think there's still to some people this won't work at all. Some people don't feel this way actually, and I'm one of those people. If you are a hopeless optimist or hopeless dreamer at all, it still feeds that fantasy or that it or like scratches that itch about the infinite beyond. Actually, the reason why I'm having you join me where I am, we are in. Are you? Oh, do you mind sharing your screen, or is that going to take a hit for you?
That would probably give me a little bit of latency, but give me 1 sec. I am in the Galang system.
Yes.
Discovered by Ika.
Okay, if you don't want to share your screen, that's fine. Don't worry.
Okay.
So the Galaxy system. You are in galaxy number 112. You are so very far away. We both are so very far away from where normal people are. And to me, the part of me that is always going to be like that hopeless dreamer, that I'm buying the fiction that it is selling me here. That quote from Blade Runner, Roy Batty, sure you've heard of him. That you won't believe the things I've seen. And when he dies, he basically says like all of that will be washed away like tears in the rain. It's this idea that this game is still simulating such a vast amount of infinite. No amount of people will ever see all of it at once. And at the same time, I'm carving my own little space in it, and nobody will see the worlds I walk. Like that's it. Like I might be the only human that's ever been here, and nobody will ever be here again.
Yeah.
To me, there's like sort of that romantic like idea of the exploration that way, as simple as it is, and that's why I take photos. Like this photo is from a distant place, nowhere in Euclid. Even Euclid is large enough that humanity can't explore every single one of it, just as that single galaxy. And that's it. That's the only proof I was ever here. And there is that romantic explorer's notion of that. And that's why you probably would understand why this entire thing, my entire thesis is that the game is simple. Therefore, my pleasures should also be simple.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why photography became the number one thing I did. That's why I have another save apart from this one, which is a survival, much harder save because more constrained supplies. But all I do in that is now my new main save. And all I do in that is just fishing and photography.
Wow.
That's it. Because that is what the game means to me. It is this perfect in-between. I want to hang out. I just want to stare at the vast infinite. Because it's like it's basically staring into space, or even just like at a deep ocean. It is an infinity you can't comprehend. You can try, but you can't comprehend it. Even though I know this is a simpler game than what it is, because the way the game works is just like it just is a list of parts, and each quote unquote star system is just a recipe, right? Okay, this is the system. This is the planet. These are the animals. It just assembles them and then generates them. You're basically just generating little systems at a time.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to believe the fiction. I'm willing that romantic notion that this is infinite. I'm still staring at it.
Yeah.
And like I think I mentioned this previously before to you, where No Man's Sky had that's why I'm over here. Welcome to my capital ship. I call it as you can tell, it's yellow after we all live in the yellow submarine. That is the reason why it's yellow. I chose the yellow one. So welcome to my home. This is my basically my RV where I live. Like I said, we are in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, let me take you to my office. We can have an interview over there. Have you ever been inside one of these before?
I have not within No Man's Sky. No. I have not played near as much of this game as I would have liked to. In starting to do these interviews, this was one of the games that was at the top of my list of people that I wanted to interview who played this game.
So yeah. So beyond the green door is the actual base you can build. But before we go into that, I just wanted to tell you, like, yeah, this was my solution to. I didn't want to be tied to a base, but I needed some resources, and this is it. I basically have an RV, and we are at the edge of the galaxy. I didn't go to the center. I went to the outer edge.
Yeah.
So we're all the way out here. And yeah, this has been I've been living here since 2020, really.
Wow.
And it might have a confusing layout. This is basically the central hall.
Okay.
Ignore the first rooms left and right, and then this is the main nexus point. There's an upstairs with a ladder, multiple ways. Operations is on the left, and then basically the storerooms are on the right. Actually, let's go to the left here.
All right. Ooh.
Yeah, basically showing you around. This planetary probe right here, this table with a hologram, actually
Yep.
scans the entire system for all the planets all at once. If you want to use
Very
it, feel free
cool.
to ping everything. As you can see, I have my own teleporter, so if I'm in a system, I can actually look at all the bases and just warp there directly. And I have my own shop, which actually fluctuate. The prices fluctuate depending on what on the system biases itself.
How
Now, this
cool.
is we'll start here. Are you actually seeing my crew members, or am I the only ones who are seeing them?
I saw a few earlier. I'm not seeing any in this room.
Okay, yeah. So it must only be seeing me. So again, there's three of them standing around. There's three of them standing around here.
Oh,
So if you
okay.
don't see anybody here, yeah, that means that this is another limitation of the game, where I always tell people, this is a single player game. It's generating things for you, but it's not necessarily generating the same thing for the co-op person that you have.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to sit here. You can feel free to sit on the main chair. This is my actual little my little office, where I actually like to relax and look outside. But anyway, like we'll stay here for a bit. But what I was going to say is that that's actually one of the weird limitations of the game, where the game is actually single player that happens to have multiplayer. Matter of fact, I wasn't the one who came up with those notions. It was people in the Reddit, like some of the people who are more willing to be honest, I should say. Usually old veterans like me as well, who are willing to who basically say, "Oh yeah, the game is ocean wide and a foot deep." Just one thing I like to describe it as. And then the other one is that it's a single player game where we can be together, but alone together. That is the weird part, and it's true because like quest progression is still yours. It's not communal. It's not group based like say Valheim is, or even the way Minecraft ended up being, where if we're in a group and you progress a story, we will progress together. Like no, I will have to progress myself, and you will have to progress yourself. I can't help you beyond the fact that I can transfer things to you that you might need, but that's it. And that's I think is like vestigial to some of the things that still are artifacts of what No Man's Sky actually was, and actually goes to the point where I say that, oh yeah, this game still hasn't changed what its core is. That is exactly what the game is. One of the things I actually tell people, especially newcomers, is that the anomaly, which you're very familiar with, was actually redesigned, and it was actually much smaller than that before. But one of the biggest changes that actually did was all of the technology blueprints are now available in the anomaly. There's a little group of NPCs all the way in the back that will sell them to you for nanites. In the original No Man's Sky, that wasn't the case. You had to basically rely on RNG to find blueprints. You were either finding damaged pod machines all littered all over the planet, and then when you repair one, you would cross your fingers that would spit out a technology blueprint that you were looking for. Or you would go to a settlement, and hopefully there was a technology trader there that would sell you something, a blueprint, and their stock was also randomized. And so that actually, if you were uncharitable, you would say that was padding the game. But at the same time, like, yeah, there was an RNG to it, and when they redesigned the anomaly, the whole thing was just available to you from the get-go. And some of those technology was basically tied to quests. So you had to build a base, and then you find like an overseer, and then you had to find like specialists. So this one is your vehicle specialist, this one is your multi-tool specialist, and they would give you tasks that you would chain together, and they would reward you blueprints. But that is completely undermined, undercut by the redesign of the anomaly. And so I show this to people. It's like, yeah, this is a weird vestigial part of the game where the old system is here, but there's no reason to do it anymore. It's like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's weird that in their pursuit of quality of life, they actually they actually made a few, like a good chunk of their original gameplay obsolete.
Yeah.
And it's like a relic of single player game that's still there. Yeah, and there's still the whole idea where the game is still weirdly has cache problems, or like especially when you get to a highly populated system, like sometimes the base you're looking for isn't there, or it only remembers only so much, or things like that. But like I said, beyond all those criticisms of what it was, once I've accepted what the game actually was, and I was telling you what the fun is I can take from it, I actually enjoyed the game for what it is. So, yeah, I think I covered most of my major points at this point.
Definitely.
Like, that is my major criticism of the game, but it's still a wonder. It really is. It's almost like it's one of those essential movies or books that you just have to take a look at it, even if you don't find them fun.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be. It demands your respect, or at least be put in the history books for what it's trying to do.
So let me ask you this before we close out. What would you recommend to somebody who is looking to get into No Man's Sky in 2024?
I suppose most of what I would recommend people is to, I guess the honest answer is to enjoy it for what it is. To leave the baggage at the door, because that has been the thing that has hurt No Man's Sky for the longest time. Because there is a game here to enjoy, but you also have to be willing to say that at some point, if it's not for you, it's not for you. Like, you need to be willing to back out of it. Not every game is for everybody, and sometimes the game itself isn't more than what it wants to be. But what I really recommend people is, if you are one of those people, and you've heard me say that, you are there for the wonder. If you're an explorer, if you're a wanderer, if you just want to find your own kind of fun, because that is really what the game is. The ultimate end game of No Man's Sky eventually turns out to be creative. People come in here, a lot of people come in the game expecting there's an infinite amount of tasks. Again, that is a burden of expectations, because they're expecting it to be their everything game. And for a lot of people, and for a lot of players, that's, as a side note, that's actually turns out to be their one of the things I learned is that there's actually two different kinds of players: the people who can make their own fun, and the people who need to be told what to do. The prescriptive ones and the creative ones. And I think if you're really a creative player, you would find a lot more fun in this game, and not to mention you'll be able to look past a lot of its shortcomings. But if you are a prescriptive player, that you need to have a task list, you need a checklist, I'm sorry to say, but you're going to run out of those quickly. A lot of it's a common thing to see especially in the public discourse in the forums and in the chats of No Man's Sky, saying that, I did this, I did everything, I finished the storyline. What do I do next? Do I need to optimize my equipment, my gear? And even the veteran players who stay basically say, well, no, you have to create your own fun. And to me, my fun, like I mentioned before, is the photography. It is viewing other people's faces. It is hoping that I jump into a system, I land on a planet, and it's just picturesque. It is worth preserving. And then I leave, because to me, it's more valuable to me as a memory rather than planting myself in there permanently. You know what they say, things are more beautiful because they don't last forever. So these are basically my takeaways for No Man's Sky. Simpler than you think it is, but if you let it can be a very beautiful game that will let you run around and have some fun.
I love it. Well, hey, Ika, thanks for doing this interview, man. This has been great.
Yeah, you're
I've
welcome.
been super excited to get to sit down and do this chat with you. We've played a few times. For the people who are listening, we've played a few times prior to this engagement, and every time you've just had a lot of input and a lot of feedback on this game, and I can really tell that it's definitely, as you said, even though it may be the thing that you just come back to kind of as a comfort food, for lack of a better term, this game definitely means a lot to you. And getting to hear your experiences and your point of view on certain things within the game has been amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, man.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
So I guess if you have any closing thoughts, let's hear them. If not, this has been a great time, and I would love if you could share some. Real quick, if you could share some of your photography and stuff from in game with me, that'd be awesome. I'd love to put some of that within the video. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I'll send you a bunch of my select pictures.
Awesome.
So closing thoughts. What have I actually? Not really. Just look at my fish tank right here. No, I'm kidding. But no, I think I've said everything I have to say about the game, apart from showing over my RV. But every major point that I've had about the game, I'm sure later tonight I'm gonna be lying down in bed. I'm gonna get up and be like, damn it, did not mention this or this, but that doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter because
part 2 or part 3, whatever you want, man. I love chatting with you.
The weird part about it is, I was telling you, like this isn't the actual game where I had a lot of hands-on time with. The game, like I would say, it's like if you really wanted to see the game that I was deep into, I was like really fighting for, and the community died, and it was like multiplayer, that I actually spent time mentoring people. It would be Absolver. That was the game that meant a lot to me, and it was unfortunate for me to see it fail. But yes, that's that's a separate topic right there. If you ever wanted to interview on that,
I would love to.
But that's actually even easier to get started in this. Believe it or not.
Okay.
They only wanted to show you around just quickly. Like these are the stickers from all the expeditions that I only finished. I didn't do everything because sometimes I look at an expedition, at the reports, and say, no. But that one, the one I'm staring at right now, the one with a Mass Effect ship, that one I definitely did.
Yeah.
Because if you look outside, I have the Normandy outside and part of my fleet.
Nice.
This is weird because if you look at this room right here we're in, this is actually a legacy freighter room. This was part of the old build before this is no longer available for most people. Okay. Basically, you can't design these rooms because they updated and they can't do that. I just wanted to show you here. This is an entire botanical area that I have with, I think, one of every plant, which is only necessary if you wanted to make like the most high value items. But
okay.
Again, these were part of legacy parts. But yeah, this is my pride and joy. This was untouched from the original 2017 No Man's Sky. First two of these plants here is spaceweed, nip buds. If you want the cops to go after you, you might not want to pocket any of those.
Okay.
No, I'm serious. Like I think the Sentinels will scan you and will stop you. I'm not even kidding.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And this is the storeroom that you passed. Like, actually made it look like a storeroom.
Yeah.
You can actually interact with these terminals, and they're actually containers. So if you want to store anything, but yeah, that's it awesome. For me. I will leave it up to you. You probably are probably gonna end the interview sometime earlier than this. But yes,
no man.
Up to you if you want me to.
This is uncut. Keep going. Show me what you want to show me. Talk about what you want to talk about.
All right, cool. This is just my space balcony. If I just want to stare at stuff. Okay. It's just impossible. There's actually this. I designed it so that you could actually. There's two entrances on each side. If we go upstairs, there is, I believe, a stellar extractor, where it harvests any materials from the current star. So I've made 4 of these, and they're very noisy. I don't know if you have the audio on right now, but if you don't, leave it off. Leave it off. And then we go back down here. Take the stairs down. Large refiners where, yeah, large refiners, which is sometimes necessary, but it has the bug where if you're, it's weird because if you store something in the refiner to process and you move your freighter, it can disappear, and it's suspected that the items in the refiners actually saved or cast based on position. So if you move the freighter, suddenly it's empty because the XYZ position of the freighter where the refiner was changed, and that's an unfortunate bug. But yeah, and we're back down here, and this should look familiar.
Yeah. Show me upstairs.
But yeah, no, I did show you upstairs. See, if you go up the ladder.
Yeah.
We ran up there. This is just another shortcut to basically where the cell extractors are. It's actually a very simple layout. I like to keep it minimalist. And like some people like to make their elaborate bases, and I think that's part of the reason too. Like, God bless the people who want to make elaborate bases, but the game also doesn't have enough function, so to speak, to actually justify a lot of the base functions, and that's heartbreaking. And part of me believes that that's exactly what they're trying to do with Light No Fire, because the next game feels like an actual appropriate second stab at a proper co-op crafting game.
Super excited for Light No Fire. I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
Because the landscape of crafting survival games, even games in general, has changed since 2016. Because if we know anything about game dev, there's a long wind-up time. So if this game came out in 2016, I would probably bet at the very least maybe a two-year development cycle. So maybe they began this 2014, maybe even longer than that. Games were very different in 2014.
Yeah.
Compared to now, it's been a decade. So with games that came out like Enshrouded, like Valheim, even how Minecraft evolved, it's not. They're gonna have to redo a lot of things.
For sure.
And yeah. The only other thing I was gonna say is like, the only reason why I mentioned Absolver, like I said, it was very close to my heart. Mm-hmm. It was made by. It's the only other game that if anybody really wanted to interview me about it, if you're interested in it, I would be more than happy to play it again, to play that again, revisit it.
Heck yeah.
Just to tell you, just to give you a brief on it. Are you familiar with a game called Sifu?
No.
Sifu was basically it was their next game. Slow Clap is the name of the developer. Their next game was Sifu. Their first game was Absolver. Sifu is a completely martial arts roguelike beat 'em up with a very complicated fighting system. The first game actually was more complicated, and that was called Absolver, which was a fantasy-based martial arts game where it was both co-op. It was both PvE and PvP. And that to me was the first time where I actually got in, and basically it hooked me like most other people, saying like, oh, it's basically a martial arts sort of Dark Souls. And what I didn't realize, whoops, I actually ended up realizing I love fighting games, because it simplifies it for you in such a way that it's card based. Well, yeah, I know, you're probably thinking like, wait a minute, martial arts game that's PvP and it's card based, and at the same time a lot of the basic knowledge of most common fighting games actually does apply to it to some extent, to the point that I was teaching the game to newbies. Like, I didn't just teach one person. I think I taught about 8 people. I mentored 8 people.
That's awesome.
To actually get good at the game. And this is part of the reason why I was telling you, like, the reason why I'm having a career change into teaching, because not only did I fall in love with languages, but also the fact that I think I like teaching. So I probably should do that.
Yeah.
So Yeah, yeah, that's one of the greatest like aha moments that I had. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I should be doing this as a part of doing something like this as part of my career. But yes, I think it's worth noting that, because one of the other things that is also worth noting is like I made a lifelong friend playing Absolver,
Yeah.
because we were both in love with it. We were both also very heartbroken as to what happened to it, and we're still holding out a candle that we might find a sequel or a spiritual sequel. But it's another game. But thank you for listening to me rant about that.
Yeah, man.
But this has been No Man's Sky. Yeah.
Well, thank you again for taking the time to chat with me about the game. And yeah, we should definitely get together and talk about, you said it was Absolver?
Yes, Absolver.
All right. We'll do it.
All right.
Awesome, man. Hey, Ika, you take it easy, man. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will talk to you off the recording. Sound good?
All right, sound good.
Awesome, man. Appreciate
We'll
your
see
time.
ya.
Take it easy.
Now wave at everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, man. Talk to you later.